We have Chris Long coming up along with the Week 16 edition of the NFL Picks Countdown, so we don't really have a lot of time for this, but can we talk for a second here, you and me? We're people after all. I want to confess something to you real quick, and I don't want to be a hypocrite because I hate those people who can never let a Star Wars debut go by without announcing to the world, I'm not into Star Wars. Or when a new soccer tournament's about to kick off, people who say, I am into real football, soccer. This is not contributing to the conversation, and yet here comes the Grinch in the Christmas season. I feel like I'm about to announce I don't believe in Santa, but I'm just not into this college football playoff. And my team's the number one seed in that tournament. Maybe it's just because Oklahoma v. Alabama looks like a scrimmage, but probably it's not just that. Obviously, I'm going to watch. I like football and I like TV after all, and what else do I have to do with myself? But I think the people who were so upset about the bowl system, they pounded the table forever about the need for a playoff, are like the dog who catches the car. Congratulations. Can you honestly say there's real buzz about the start of this college football playoff? It used to stand out. And maybe the late 20th century debates about who was better between 1v2 were a little unsatisfying. But in hindsight, they were better than arguing about which 2-loss team deserves a title shot more than a 3-loss team does. Now it just feels like a less important version of the upcoming NFL playoffs, which I am excited for, and which I don't think my team's going to make. But I hope to be wrong. Let's see if we can figure that out right now. Start the show. Yes, hi and hello and happy holidays, my fellow football Americans. Welcome to NFL Week 16. Welcome to the College Football Playoff. Welcome to Football America, episode number 35. We're presented as ever by our pals at DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. And as we jump in here, appreciate it if you would do me the gift of subscribing to the pod and on YouTube. We appreciate that, and we start out by honoring the player who wore the episode number best, Mike and Gino and Mike Fuentes. I got bad news. 35 sucks, at least where NFL names are concerned. Some good luminaries beyond the NFL, but Christian Okoye, I think, is the best ever to ever play in the NFL and wear the number 35. That's pretty grim, right?
I mean, I got some Earl Campbell here, according to, the internet.
Well, the internet is wrong.
Okay.
Earl Campbell
did. I'm going to go 35.
I think when he was the Tyler Rose at Texas, maybe 35, but he was 34.
I'm going Kevin Durant.
That's a good one, yes.
I'm going to go for
Mike?
Nugenics, number one salesman, the Big Hurt,
Frank
Hurt. Thomas. Sell me those testosterone pills, Frank Thomas. Let me know. Tell me, I have low T. You stand up there with Doug Flutie and you fix my testosterone with your snake oil pills.
Yeah, Tony Esposito and Tom Barrasso in Puck, two great Hall of Fame goaltenders there, Justin Verlander. And do yourself a favor, next time you see Flutie and the Big Hurt out on the practice tee, watch the woman, not the guy's wife, but the other woman. He's like, and she'll like it too. The wife looks at him, but then there's another woman who's the friend of the woman, presumably, and she starts making eyes. Like, what the hell are you doing? Who are you, Burl Ives now? Like, somebody waits for you. Kiss her once for me. What's up with you old creepo? Go get your own lady. All right, listen, we have to talk about football here. Let's start it off. We're going to do our picks in just a second here for the most pivotal games in NFL Week 16 that still remain. Before we get to that, Pick 6 presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. I'm going touchdown scores to start off with, fellas. Josh Allen against the Cleveland Browns. I think he is now making officially, as they also try to secure their spot in the playoffs and maybe have an outside shot at catching the Patriots still. I think he also understands where he is in the MVP chase. I think they find a way to get him in the end zone. Bijan, my beloved Bijan. We came up short in the fantasy playoffs, but he's still toiling away in meaningless football now that the Cool Cats are out of the fantasy playoffs. He'll get a touchdown against the Arizona Cardinals. Jahmyr Gibbs is always good for a touchdown. Pretty much. He wasn't last week, but most of the time he is. He has the Steelers. He'll get into the end zone there. And then 2 touchdown throws from Gardner Minshew against the Tennessee Titans, right? I mean, that feels like a feel-good story waiting to happen. And C.J. Stroud, 4 touchdown passes in his last 2. He'll throw 2 at least against the sad Vegas Raiders. How say you, fellas?
Listen, Gardner Minshew, right? A lot of people are saying Chiefs are in trouble. They're going to win that game.
Yeah.
And not only because Tennessee Titans, is because if I'm going to pick a coach to have a guy like Gardner Minshew ready to play, I'm probably going to pick Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I like that pick. I think someone around here in the office was kicking like some kind of suicide pool thing, and I'm like, bro, take the Chiefs. The Tennessee's bad. Gardner Minshew, not that
Yeah,
bad.
don't forget Gardner Minshew's college coach, Mike Leach, so he knows how to sling.
No, and not that bad. He definitely one of the better starters. But when it comes to pick 6, Jamar Chase hasn't scored a touchdown in 6 games.
Oh, you're doing the scarcity thing.
Yes,
huh?
I'm doing the scarcity thing. He cost me a big parlay not too long ago. I'm still getting over it. So this is going to be the year against the hapless Quinn Ewers Dolphins. Okay? This is going to be the week where Jamar Chase cashes in.
I'm going to piggy bank off of you. I'm going Joe Burrow. Maybe it'll be 2 to Jamar Chase. Who knows?
Wait a minute. Not piggybacking, but you just said, Gino, piggy banking,
Yeah,
which
you're
is a
right.
new
Yeah,
turn of phrase
jump
that when
all over
you're
me.
tailing
No,
somebody,
you're-
I'm piggy banking you.
meant
I like
piggy-
that.
You're doing this wrong, Gino, because you're like saying, oh, man, like you said something wrong. You go, no, Dave, I meant to say it because you think I said piggyback, which is also true. But piggy, take it to the bank. Joe Burrow's going to do it. You got to put some pizzazz behind it. You got to make people believe your lie, just like our president does. Just talk that shit, but if you're confident about it, they'll believe it, all right?
Incisive political commentary from Mike Fuentes there. Now let's hear some more incisive commentary on your former quarterback now that he's been benched, Tua. I don't know if you heard the news down there in South Beach, but it's a wrap. I get the sense from every Dolphins fan that the number one emotion is relief that
Finally.
it's now over with.
Oh my
right?
God.
I mean, that's
Oh
the
my
vibe
God.
I'm getting from you guys. He really was an atrocity
There's a
on
reason
Monday
to
Night
watch.
Football in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
I have a reason to watch now. We can scout maybe the future.
I wouldn't get too comfortable. I feel like this, he's owed $54 million next year. You're not going to want to have that money on the bench.
The best way to be okay with that is if you have a quarterback making nothing
But
starting.
people think that this is like some kind of like, oh, we're moving towards the future. No, this is don't get hurt, so we don't have to pay you $20 million in 2027. He has a clause in his contract that says if he gets hurt, that money's guaranteed for 2027. They're trying to be rid of him after $54 million next year. So while it does give you a chance to see what Quinn Ewers is, which is he was the most highest rated recruit ever coming out of wherever he came from. I don't even know. But sure, you get to see what he has, but it's also, hey, Tua, let's not get Tua hurt, and then it's completely wasted. The funny thing to me in all this is reports coming out that Zach Wilson is frustrated to not be named the starter. And in the words of Jordan Belfort, a la Leonardo DiCaprio, Wolf of Wall Street,
who gives a shit?
I agree with that. And obviously, if you're the Dolphins, I think that what this is a reminder of, that December, especially with that 17th game now, that a lot of these games get super weird, that a lot of teams are trying to evaluate what they have at the back end of their roster. And so they're not really, I mean, they want to win the game, but their goal is to evaluate these individual pieces. It really sets up for some lousy games coming down the stretch. I don't know what you do to fix that. I do wonder if Tua is done. What I think, to Mike's point, I'm not the first one to say this. Yeah, they want to keep Tua healthy so that they can viably move him in the offseason, and we can make jokes about whether or not anyone's going to want him. We saw what happened with Russell Wilson a couple of years ago. There's always a team out there that needs a QB. Maybe it won't happen until August of 2026, but somebody, if the Dolphins are willing to eat a portion of that contract, I suspect that we will see Tua once again. But man, then again, the devil's Dameshek of this is Tua really does feel outmoded. He feels solved by NFL defenses. There's nowhere to really go with him. If Mike McDaniel, who embraced him a couple of years ago and encouraged that contract, can't make it work, who really is out there? So maybe I'm overstating things by saying somebody will be desperate enough to throw him in there, right?
I think maybe as a starter, correct, but for a guy who led the league in passing just 2 years ago, he's going to land somewhere. Yeah. I mean,
if the Raiders weren't going to have like the number 1 or number 2 pick, they would take him in a second. They would take him right now.
Like you kind of think as a backup for the right money, not next year, but the year after that, he kind of be perfect for San Francisco. Obviously with his cap number next year, you're not really going to want to have that guy floating around, which is why I think he'll be right back starting for the Miami Dolphins at the beginning of next year.
Well, that's why he doesn't make sense as a backup, because no one's going to take him on with that Yeah, the weight of that contract.
Yep.
The thing that is also fascinating to me, and I've seen Jonathan Zaslow talking about this on the Le Batard show, and really a lot of people have been belly aching about this, especially if they're Dolphins rooters, is, and I've always been driven crazy by in the post game, right out there on the field, right after the stage where pigskin war was just fought, and now they're playing grab ass with each other, the trading jerseys and all that crap. I don't care for that. Tua yucking it up with his old pal. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about a lot more stuff.
That's such an old man take. That is your oldest man take. Like I just don't believe like that this like ultra not everybody has like this Brady Michael Jordan competitive streak in them. Some guys just want to go out there and get paychecks and that's it. You know.
Jim, listen, Iron Sheik, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan were arch rivals in the squared circle way back when. One loved America and the other one hated it. At least they got arrested burning tree and drinking beers in their car, but at least they had the dignity to do that out of eyesight of the fans. They didn't go out there and do it in the ring after a match. They need a little WWE. Listen, you know who is a voice of reason? I suspect on this, Chris Long, our old pal. Let's talk with him right now. Ho, 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 hi, and hello, my fellow football Americans. We have officially arrived at the holiday season, and you know what that means. It's Dave saying ho, ho, ho. Also, family, food, and football. The holidays aren't about stuffy get-togethers, dinner parties, or work parties you have to be at. They're about those unexpected side quests and spending time with the ones you love, and if you're lucky enough, doing so at a bowl game. I'm going to the Rose Bowl this year to watch my Indiana Hoosiers. Tis Miller time. Tis, always a great indicator that it's the holiday season. Miller is the original light beer. It's the taste you can depend on and has been trusted by beer lovers everywhere for 50 years, thanks to its clean finish, simple ingredients, and iconic golden color. And this year, there's another holiday we're celebrating. Well, I mentioned the Hoosiers in the Rose Bowl, but that's not what I'm getting at here. It's Miller's 50th anniversary. That's what I'm talking about. And with only 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces, it's a great choice to let loose without weighing you down like all that food will. The best holiday beers are the ones you don't expect. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/FBA to find delivery options near you if you want to stay at home, or you can head out among the people and you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tis Miller time. See? Tis. And please, always remember to celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Tis 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. I got a question for you, my fellow football Americans. If you walked into a stash house and found $20 million, how much would you steal? That's the question Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, both of whom I've heard of, and you probably have too. They have to answer it in Netflix's new movie, The Rip. They play a team of Miami cops alongside Teyana Taylor, worth the price of admission for me after seeing her in one battle after another. Dynamite, plus Stephen Yeun and Catalina Sandino Moreno and Kyle Chandler and Sasha Kaye, all trying to decide, are they the good guys or the bad guys? This movie is an edge-of-your-seat thrill ride the entire time, keeping you guessing till the very end. Don't miss The Rip, only on Netflix on January 16th. Hi and hello and happy holidays, my fellow football Americans. As you well know, the holidays are heating up, and they're doing so even more on Pick 6, DraftKings' newest fantasy pick'em game. Make your NBA picks for a shot to win big cash prizes this holiday season. Here's how it works. You just choose more or less on two or more player stats. The more accurate your picks are, the bigger your payout's going to be. It's the kind of upside you'll only find on Pick 6, not those other pick'em sites. And it's available in most states, including Texas, California, Georgia, and more. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code Dameshek. New DraftKings customers can play just $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits with code Dameshek, Dameshek. Ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Well, yes, it truly is the holiday season here in football America. When this guy shadows our door, it's better than Santa Claus. All right, I don't want to get in any trouble there. Maybe it's not as good as Santa, but just the same, I'm very excited here. He's a two-time Super Bowl champ, a Walter Payton Man of the Year, the kingpin of the Green Light podcasting empire, a Shecky Award winner as our favorite football playing guest, and also, as a man of justice, I have to mention this every time we ever kibitz, the rightful MVP of Super Bowl 51. After all, he's the guy who drew the holding penalty on Jake Matthews that pushed the Falcons out of field goal range, thereby allowing for the Edelman catch and the comeback and overtime and all the rest of that crap. He's number 91 and number 56 and number 72 and number 95. What in the hell? It's Chris Long. What's the poop, fella? Long time no see. How are you?
What up? Yeah, you need to remind Jeff Schwartz who drew that hold. You know, some people forget. I didn't get a Christmas card this year from Brady or Edelman or any of those guys. So
is that right?
Yeah, no Christmas card. I don't know. What's going on with that? But
outrageous. Maybe it's because of what
could be jealousy,
or maybe it's what you did to them in Super Bowl 52.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
I remember asking you if in between those two Super Bowls, actually on the eve of that second Super Bowl win, if after just teaming up and drinking beers in celebration with Tom Brady, if you were going to feel bad if you had to smack the old man around in Super Bowl 52. You said no.
No, not at all. I mean, it's part of the business. It's part of the business. He's been smacked up before, and honestly, he did more of the smacking in that game. But we ended up with the W. A lot of people are like, "Yeah, you guys shut down. You guys beat Tom Brady." I'm like, I didn't beat Tom Brady. Nick Foles beat Tom Brady, because in that second half, we were fighting for our lives, Dave.
You know what? I don't want to get in the Wayback Machine here about that Super Bowl, but a couple of things. The thing I always point to is sometimes, I think winning the trophy is everything. QB wins in the postseason are more important than just about any other measurement of how great a quarterback is in the quarterback league, especially in this millennium, as important as they have become, more so even than they were in the 80s and 90s. I thought that was maybe Brady's greatest job. That roster for the Patriots was bum level, except for him. He hoisted them, and as far as that goes, I was told on the eve of that Super Bowl that people who were close to the Eagles coaching staff, that everybody on the Eagles knew that you guys were going to win that game. Is that true? I don't mean just like puff your chest out.
No,
we can do it. Like you, in terms of X's and O's, you knew you had them.
Listen, we felt like we had a better team. Leading up to the game, I can remember incessantly bothering all the guys on offense and saying, how many points can you score, you think? Which is not an admission that hey, we're going to get our doors kicked in, but, it would be nice to know, what's the magic number? Because I thought that New England would probably be able to score a little bit on us. There's no good matchup for Gronk. It helped certainly when I think Malcolm Jenkins knocked Brandon Cooks out of the game. And that wasn't a dirty play or an intentional thing. It just was a football play, knocked him out of the game. And I think from there, it was once we got to the half, you knew they were going to come out of the half with some heat. And they did, and it was hard to get stops. But, it just makes we're even luckier for just taking the risks we did in the first half. And that was the way we played. I mean, Doug was that kind of guy. So I think it was a total clash of styles, man. That's what made it so interesting. We were just happy to be there, kind of happy-go-lucky. We weren't picked to be a top 15, 20 team. Our MVP caliber quarterback gets hurt, and we're still here. It's the whole nothing to lose thing that makes you dangerous.
Yeah, it really was magical, as that falls into history now.
It's yesteryear now, dude.
It but I mean, I really do love that season for the Eagles, and as I've told you before, and I'll say again to anyone within the sound of my voice, for everybody who says keep the politics out of football and stop talking. I mean, it's amazing that it is okay to talk about them when they're saying things that you like, but keep it out when I don't like what you're saying. But you putting for real, Colin Kaepernick's back in the news with some of the things that Malcolm Jenkins did his own thing. He didn't take a knee, but he put a fist in the air and then caught heat for that. And then the next week, Chris Long, a white guy, goes over and puts his arm around Malcolm Jenkins as a show of support. And I remember a decent percentage of self-proclaimed football fans said, outrageous, this ends, that you can't have that kind of crap going on the sideline. It distracts from winning games and everything else. As we just discussed, you wound up with the Lombardi Trophy. So for all
maybe
time,
it
should
is
have
true.
ended that.
Maybe it is true because Harrison Butker couldn't hit the broadside of a barn this year kicking the football.
Interesting.
I feel like we definitely. Everybody's heart was in the right place, man. Just trying to be decent. That's all, and that's why some of the praise I got was a little uncomfortable for me because, like, I'm just being decent. And I do think, like, as you fast forward 8-10 years later, we are less decent than we've ever been as a country. And I got two takes landing pretty well this week. I think one of them is that Tua wasn't a starting quarterback, and the other was that I didn't want to go to the White House to meet that individual twice. And I feel like a lot of people owe me apologies for some of the criticisms and the messages I got, because it really transcended politics. It is about decency. It's about patriotism. And I don't feel very patriotic right now. I don't think a lot of people do.
Yeah, and this is a man who is supported, who wore on the side of his hat a bald eagle and a patriot, after all. I mean, what's more American than those two things? Yeah, and I know you weren't trying to be political. You were trying to be supportive of your teammate, but that's what it's all about. And so lovely stuff there. Okay, now let's get a little ugly here. And you mentioned Tua. And now he's benched, and Quinn Ewers is getting the start this weekend. And, I mean, he really didn't look like a starting quarterback in Pittsburgh, and a lot of people, despite Mike McDaniel kind of sort of for the last couple of months, even after having been all but fired, it felt like was on track to save his job. But the limitation is the starting quarterback. And then we see on the field, as their playoff chances go away and all the rest, Tua playing grab ass on the field with Jalen Ramsey and laughing it up and everything else. In the bigger picture, what do you think about this crap? Because you're a lovely fella, and we just talk about you get along with teammates and you get along with other football players. To me, as a football fan, I have to speak up on behalf of fans. I think the NFL thinks it's adorable after the game, like these Warriors go at it for 60 minutes, but in the end they're on the same team and they shake hands. Like, that's nice at the end of a playoff series if you're in the NHL. This is different. Stop with that crap. Get some WWE going in there, and don't do that out in plain sight with the red. Go do it in the bowels of the stadium. That's your business. No one wants to see that. We hate the opponent. How say you?
Well, I would say fans have less to lose in the situation. Like, it's a weird thing. Like, I can say, hey, fuck you guys. I hate you. But I'm going to see you again. And the fans, they don't have to answer for that. And the fans also don't have the respect that is earned when you run into somebody at 15 miles an hour for 60 minutes. And so, and I'm pretty old school where, hey, when the game's going on, like it is, I don't say the word war because it ain't war, but we're going to be at our throats. We're going to be at each other's throats. And, I'm all for the violence and everything. Like, it's a beautiful game because of that. Like, it's one of the only places you can really, like, increasingly less so. You can try to not hurt in a dirty way, but you can try to fuck up your opponent. And that's a great thing. And I think what that does is, this is the player's take, is I don't have anything to prove after the game about being a tough guy. You should be disappointed when you're eliminated from the playoffs. And I think everybody deals with disappointment differently. Everybody deals with, like, on the plane ride back, there's like certain people that are going to laugh and joke after a loss. And there's certain people that are going to be dead quiet. And there's people that think it should be like a Morgan there. And there's some people that are going to say, like, well, if we were so pissed off, why didn't we play better? And why do I have to sit here and fake an existential crisis because we lost a football game? Right. So I think it's a mixed bag. And as much as I've had issues with Tua the player, and, the idea of how good he is or he isn't, like, him and Jalen Ramsey were teammates before. I think maybe that's the blind spot for him optically, is he's thinking, well, I'm talking to an old teammate. And of course, if you've been sitting there spending your hard-earned money on going to Dolphins games or buying Tua's jersey or, spending on the Red Zone package or NFL, the YouTube or whatever it is, like, you're pissed when you see that. But you have to understand from the player's perspective is like, we have nothing to prove. We just played the game. Like, we're putting our health, our livelihoods on the line. Like, after games, I used to, if there was somebody that on the other team that I respected, I'd tell them. And I don't think too many people would have questioned my effort or, my commitment to the game. Like, after my last game in the NFL, I cried like a baby, maybe because I knew it was over. It was a damn, I'm in the shower like a damn child. And so it means something, and it hits everybody differently. But when I was on the field after that New Orleans Saints playoff game, I'm pretty sure, and it's all a blur, I'm pretty sure I hugged a couple guys that I respected and told them, hey, man, way to battle, and then I went in the fucking shower and lost it. So everybody is different. And I understand. I understand the sentiment. I do think there's a thin line. And
because your character, because to some degree we have to keep you as characters. I also understand you as a human being need to rationalize away the loss, and you can't own it every time you lose a game to a severe degree, or you'd be a head case. You can't just torment yourself. I do think, though, thinking of Chris Long nude in the shower crying.
I wasn't naked.
You weren't nude?
No, I went in the shower because that's where nobody is. Yeah, I pulled a chair up in the shower and I just lost it. But this is my last game, so I think I'm done. I'm pretty sure I'm done at that point. Yeah, you go in there because you don't want to be in the room like balling, dude. Not that anybody's gonna judge you. You ain't the only one with tears in your eyes after your season ends. But I'm a 33-year-old man, and so it's a delicate thing, man. It's if you're an NFL player and you go in, and I've had teammates that like beat the shit out of the bathroom stalls for 15 minutes to the point where I got to go in there and get my buddy, and the coach is like, hey, you got to go in, and like there's banging in there. You can hear screaming, you can hear doors slamming, things breaking. Like, do fans want that? Do fans want us to go?
I don't know. I think
set our houses on fire and shit. Like, it's like.
Right. Well, right. It's easier to point fingers. Well, you see that all the time. It's way easier to blame anybody else and to put your emotions, like to defer the blame. Obviously, as a fan, you're blameless. You just wanted something to happen, and now these guys let you down, so you want them to at least match your emotions.
Well, I don't think fans.
I think that's.
I think here's what hit me, Dave. Like, and I've been trying to say this the right way. Respectfully, I don't think fans know how hard it is to succeed in the NFL and win football games. And so, like, when I'm sitting there on the couch watching my favorite team, because I'm the biggest sports fan as everybody. I grew up Panthers fan, pain in my face, used to cry when the Penguins lost. I remember the Penguins lost to, I think, the Florida Panthers.
1996.
And I was 11 years old, and I was crying like, here I am crying again. Damn, this guy, he can't stop crying.
Went to the showers. Howie's like, where are you going, boy?
Yeah.
Like, don't worry, old man.
My dad's like, good, cry more. You should care.
Take off the Yager sweater while you do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And beat up some of the kids at school too. So no, but like, I've been a fan and I know how hard it is to watch like UVA basketball, UVA football, or, we lost to UMBC and 16-1 seed. I'm enraged, man. And I'm like super upset. I have no recourse. I'm a fan. And I also don't know what it's like to be out there that night and feel like, hey, I tried my very fucking best, but those guys were just better. And so I think as a player, you get sometimes as mad as you are, as upset as you are about the game, and as much as it hurts to lose, you comfort yourself subconsciously because you're like, dude, I laid it all out there. Like there's these guys get paid too, and they're so. Like, they were just so good today. Or, dude, recently I looked back at that 2018 loss to New Orleans. And it's so funny because it doesn't haunt me. This was the year we were repeating or trying to repeat, and we started 4-6 and we were terrible. And then all of a sudden we caught fire again and we end up in the divisional round down in New Orleans. We jump out to a 14-0 lead. Okay. The way I remember that game is it was heartbreaking at the time, but in the years after, I kind of forgot about it. Like, like it doesn't haunt me. But
It
when
felt like you were gilding the lily a little bit there because if Alshon Jeffrey makes one more catch for you, you probably
we're gonna
do
win
beat
that
the
game.
Saints, right?
Yeah, and I don't like the whole because I didn't like it when the Saints the year before were like, we would have beat the Eagles if the Minneapolis made. No, the fuck you wouldn't. We were a badass group, and it would have been hard to beat us. It would, and so I'm not doing we should have won it or anything. But what I am saying is, when I look back at that game on YouTube, I watched the full game for shits recently. It was so painful to watch. It was almost more painful than it was to play in it.
Wow.
Because you have this vantage point where it's like, damn, dude, like it was 14-0, fake punt, 4th down conversion, drop at the end of the game. Like, I was sad.
Back to you nude in the shower. No, I was gonna actually mention that's the saddest football thing since Brendan Fraser and Matt Damon got into a nude fight. Why the director or the screenwriter or whatever in School Ties, of course, I'm referring to when
they got revealed. A nude fight.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser, Matt Damon announces because he's raw that Brendan Fraser stole his girl, and so he announces Brendan Fraser's a Jew, everybody, and nobody likes that at the prep school in the mid-20th century.
Oh, so this is in the movie.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't mean that they had a nude fight for their pleasure. I mean the characters they were playing.
LL Cool J and Jamie Foxx or whatever. Do you remember the story about
No.
Any Given Sunday? They were supposedly like a fight, and LL Cool J like whooped Jamie Foxx's ass or something
in real life.
Yeah, like a real fight.
Wow.
Dude.
No, I didn't know that.
And I was in a disrobed prison style fight in college.
Really? With whom? And who won?
Teammates.
You got into a nude fight with your teammates. It was a melee,
but it was a fist fight, not a wrestling match. You keep that. But here's the problem: when guys there was like a disagreement that spilled over into something more, and it was after like a workout, and dudes are in the locker room, and it's like and you're not thinking about all I have is a towel on.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing naked O-linemen who will go unnamed fly across the room and do a flying scissor kick into a guy's chest. and I'm like, people are getting punched in the face. It's a melee, man. And the craziest thing about that fight is 45% of the people in it were just getting out of the shower. So it happens. Matt Damon and Brendan Fraser.
The nude fighting as a decision, like that's real life. Which is, I wish there was video of that, not for perverted reasons.
I don't.
I think it would make me laugh.
It's way too burning in my brain to see a 310-pound man horizontal to the ground in the middle of a scissor kick into a guy's chest, and I can see the guy's balls, and it's just like I can't get it. It's like
are they used as a weapon or that's what you go to? Like, if you're the right endowment, you could like use that as a weapon. You choke a guy out with it, like blah blah, wrap it around his neck, like
no. Nick Foles wasn't in this fight, dude.
Oh no, okay. So that's all true. All right, let's move on. Here's another thing. I bring up movies. I bring up movies because, of course, among the honors that I mentioned at the top there, I didn't mention that you're the progeny of Howie Long, who started Broken Arrow, who got kicked out of a moving train by Christian Slater.
It's just such bullshit.
It is a shame that it happened. Show business is a rugged business. You talk about football. That ain't nothing compared to the entertainment industry. I recently heard football legend Howie Long say Jahmyr Gibbs is the best player in football. Your response?
He said that.
Yeah.
I said that too.
Did you really? Maybe he stole it from you.
Yeah, maybe. No, we do talk a lot. Me and Dad talk ball a lot, but I think if
and you and I talk balls apparently.
Yeah, evidently. No, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is now because of their offensive line and some of the scheme turnover that they had to deal with this year. I think at times like he hasn't been the player he could be in the perfect system. But I think if you're looking at running backs in the NFL, like if I'm preparing for an offensive player, a non-quarterback, he's as scary as anybody this year. And of course, the caveat is there's a year like the year where Jamar Chase half the time is not catching the football from Joe Burrow. Justin Jefferson's catching the ball from number 9. Now who's improving a lot, but that's been hard to get on the same page. Do you think of some of the traditional best offensive football players? Saquon Barkley is following up his awesome year. With a year that predictably is not the same. I mean, when you look at Saquon last year, the offensive line he was running behind, and then just the law of averages since 2000, there's a threshold of a certain amount of carries, and I don't have it offhand. I did this before the season, but there were a couple guys that crossed that threshold. It was like Eddie George, DeMarco Murray. Those guys were not able to get back anywhere near to where they were the year prior. It's just kind of like a rule with running backs. So I think
it's bankable, right? From a betting standpoint and otherwise, whenever you see that over under rush total the following year after 2K, always bet the under, even if it makes you feel like a cynic when you're doing it.
So I'm not saying I think best player in football is so hard to every year. It's just so much context you got to take into account around every player. So it's this year it was Puka for a while, right? And then Devontae starts getting some of the target shares, and and I think Jameer, there's an argument to be made that he is the best offensive non-quarterback in the league, or the most dangerous. There were times where I thought Lane Johnson was the best non-quarterback in the league on offense.
Sure seems like, as you know, the Jenga theory, he sure seems like that Eagles offense Jenga piece. Take him away and they become very mortal immediately.
He's a big Jenga piece. I think when you look at the Eagles, you got 2 guys on the interior who are awesome players, but were limping into the season. Like they were limping into the Super Bowl, and like Juergens and Dickerson. So they've had some injuries. They've had, the scheme change. It just goes to show every year is different. And so that's the fun thing about the NFL is it is such a team sport. And even when you're talking about individual accolades, it's so hard to, you're going to talk about the MVP. Now, I think Stafford should be the front runner, but me, I think Josh Allen's the best quarterback on the planet. And I think when you do hey, is value just who's the best quarterback, who's got the best stats, or is it put Matt Stafford on the Bills, how does that look? Put Josh Allen on the Rams, how does that look?
Right. I did the same thing earlier this week with Drake May and Josh Allen. If you want to make a case for May as the MVP, given where that team sits, and if they do hold on and win the East, there's a case there. But if you're talking about straight up value, swap those 2 guys and see which team winds up better. Obviously, the Patriots would wind up on the right side of that.
And I think Drake's the other guy, to be fair to any Patriots fans who are listening. I hear you scream into the screen. I think he played himself into the conversation this year. I mean, and I'm also not a guy that really cares about the MVP that much. I know I brought it up, but it's a hot topic this time of year. I don't know who won it 5 years ago. I don't know who won it 3 years ago. I don't know how many times Drew Brees won it. I don't know how many times Lamar's won it. I think he's won it twice, but I only know that because has he won it twice?
Well, the reason, but I'll tell you the answer to that is largely owed to poor marketing. You have the NFL MVP. It's by far and away our most popular sport, but probably who won the Heisman 5 years ago because it has a cool name. We need a good name for it and a cool statue for it. The Walter Payton Trophy by itself is the coolest trophy going in pro football. It's the only one that measures up with the Heisman. What we need to figure out is, Chris Long, and I've done some work in this regard, we need to name the MVP. Make it to Tom Brady. I don't care what it is.
That's interesting.
But if you made a cool eternal trophy, casting that guy in an iconic pose, now it's something you would remember.
Well, I think it's interesting. I think the Heisman to me, and I'm no college football expert, it seemed to me like this year was a down year for the Heisman.
How dare you?
Not taking anything away from our Hoosier buddy, Mendoza. I thought, but
King Dork, I love him.
Yeah, where the alternative is this guy Pavia. It's just hey, bro, enough. All right, both of them in different ways. Enough, man. but yeah, like I just look at the Heisman as like this, you know, they talk about it differently. Like it's just hard to compare. Like the Heisman, you can have a Heisman moment. What's your Heisman moment? Like we never talk about the MVP. Like what's your MVP moment? It kind of feels like the MVP is like stats, team success, and who the best quarterback is.
That's right. It all comes down right. The people when they do the thing about Jonathan Taylor's the MVP. Come on, I mean, do you pay attention? Obviously,
it's fun for fodder.
That's right. I refuse to engage in any MVP conversation until the midway point in the season. I forbid it here in Football America.
Does it matter if your MVP doesn't play well in the playoffs? I think the playoffs are such a different thing in the NFL than they are in college football. Like college football playoffs are in their infancy, but like the college football playoffs, like come on. Like I know, like who did I see yesterday? Like Joel Klatt or somebody, and I'm not taking shots, but like talking about, you know, how great the playoffs are in college football. Like, no, they're not. They're not. No. Like they never have been. They've barely ever been close. You know, like they lead the sports in double-digit margin of victory in the playoffs. Like you couldn't buy a good first-round game for eons. The NFL playoffs are the best thing in major professional sports. I think Stanley Cup, if you're a hockey fan, is incredible, right? And it's a marathon, and I would argue it's just as hard or even harder to win than a Super Bowl. But I think from an entertainment value standpoint and just like an unpredictability standpoint, that's why the NFL is king. Like wild card weekend, pull up a fucking chair, dude.
I agree. I go divisional round, and I would get rid of the 7th team. It's one too many, and
it's a little exhausting.
It's just too much. You don't need, I mean, because the games are so close already that you don't need to throw another team in there to make it more, the vibe more of a coin flip. I think the merit of a 7 or 16, or ultimately it's going to be 18, obviously. I think the merit achieved over the course of those 4 months is enough. You don't need to jam another team in there to muck things up, because what you want ultimately, at least in my opinion, as a man of merit, who believes in merit, I think that you should get buys for winning at least the top 2 spots. If you throw them all into a jumble, it leads to a mess, in my opinion.
Well, here's a question that we kind of, is that one day I was looking for something to talk about, and I was like, you know what? And of course, this has gone to shit now in the last couple of weeks. But like, there was a point this season where I thought Dallas was really dangerous. Mm-hmm. And there was a point, and I still believe it, that Cincinnati, if you told them, hey, tomorrow, like, hey, you're in the playoffs, like, everybody would be like, fuck, Cincinnati's in the playoffs? Mm-hmm. You know, like, should there be an at-large bid in the NFL playoffs? And how would you because think about this. Bill Belichick used to say this, and I'm pretty sure he still says it.
Name drop.
No, but he used to say this. It just happens to be my coach and my coworker at Inside the NFL. So, but Dave, it's like not who you play, it's when you play them.
Sure.
And I think that's like, and if the hoodie agrees, then most people should probably agree. And I think we all know it to be true. We all know that at the end of the season, some people slide in and you're like, they're not that good anymore. Like they're not playing well in December. Not to say they shouldn't be in the playoffs, but how about the teams that because of an injury or circumstance in the beginning of the season were dog shit, but then down the stretch, they're dangerous? Are we being too
Well, that's why college football used to be better, and now that's gone out the window too. But, you know, when you lose a game, even if it's the first game of the season, if you get whipped like Notre Dame or like Alabama did by Florida State, like that's it. You have no claim to being in a tournament for the best team because that game counted in the regular season. So I hear you, and I love this broader idea. My spin on what you just said is, how cool would this be? Especially when you only have a number one seed, but you could do this before the wild card round as well. The two teams with byes get to choose who they play.
Oh, yeah.
How about that? These are the teams on the board here. You're the number one seed. The wild card weekend has now finished. You're the number one seed. Go up to the board now, LA Rams, and choose. Who you get to play. Because that would be such a pisser because you would take the worst team, but now that team would have a chip on its shoulder. Oh, of all the 6 teams you could have played, you wanted us. Oh, now we're going to give it to you real good for that one, right? How great would that be?
It'd be incredible. It would be incredible.
And the moment of Belichick and Chris Long or Brady or whoever going up to the podium, so that would finish wild card weekend. Like, maybe you give them the night to meditate on it, and then on Tuesday morning or Monday morning, even better, because we're getting rid of the 7th team already. But like at the morning of, like, we announce that we are going to play.
That's so good.
The San Francisco 49ers. Like, what? You didn't.
That's so good, and it makes it harder in a way on the number 1 team because it feels like a little like, hey, we just called our shot. Oh shit! And it's the gravity,
That's exactly
and it's
right.
the gravity of, like, if you're the coach, that becomes a decision, like an in-game decision or like a roster decision. Like, this is a very meaningful decision. If you pick a team and lose it, it's even worse because you picked it.
That's right. Right. You would have to own it, and a game that you probably see as the number 1 seed against the worst remaining team probably doesn't feel that juicy. Now it has all the juice in the world.
That's really, Dave, that's good.
See, I told you Chris Long was good. Mike didn't agree, but I thought he was great there. Here's good news for you. More Chris Long coming for you on the other side of the football weekend. More kibitzing with him to come. In the meantime, Gino, what do you think? Wouldn't that be a great thing if you had the number 1 seed at the end of the wild card get to choose your opponent? Let's say the Broncos are the number 1 seed in the AFC. Who would they choose?
Well, first of all, that's like a made-for-TV event. Who's not tuning in for that right after the first round of the playoffs?
Exactly.
Okay, so I would of the teams that are available, I got to say, man, I'd kind of be rooting for the Steelers to get through that first round. 41-year-old quarterback against the Denver pass rush. I mean, not to throw any shade your way.
He wouldn't like that. He wouldn't like that. Now,
wouldn't be very
if
good.
if Denver beats Jacksonville, it would be extra juicy if they took the Jags again because they would have a chip on their shoulder. And that brings us to the NFL games countdown. That's what we call it. The countdown here, the most consequential games in Week 16. Who's going to win them and by how much? And it is those Jags playing those Broncos. Broncos laying just 46.5 is the total on this one. I've got a Jags victory, recalling, what was it, 1997 when they went in there? Mark Brunell and company went in there and picked off the number 1 seeded Denver Broncos with John Elway, one of the biggest upsets in postseason history. Jags win this one 24-22. Mike Fuentes, how say you?
I don't love the Jags. Everybody knows I hate the Jags. But the problem is that we're at a point here where Denver's won, what was this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games in a row. They can't keep that going. They're not going to go into the playoffs winning, what is this, 14 in a row, whatever it is. So as much as I dislike the Jags, I think the Jags are kind of in a groove now. Trevor Lawrence is playing the best football that he's ever played. So I'm going to say that the Jags go up there and find a way to beat the Bo Nix Denver Broncos.
Whoa! And that's again from a self-proclaimed Jags hater, Trevor Lawrence doubter. Boy, now you're making me question it. The Jags with their turquoise-tongued cat. I don't know what goes on with that. I think America really isn't all that enthused. I think that's why people are not picking the Jags that much, because they don't want the reality of the Jags being a real factor come January. Either way, like it or not, they are going to be. If the Broncos win this one and the Texans win, though, that division remains in play. On to number 3 here, it's the Buccaneers. It's the Carolina Panthers. It's the other South, the NFC kind. The Carolina Panthers, how about this? -3, total 45.5. I think the Bucs get right here finally. I think they have kind of circled this 2 out of the last 3 games. They catch Carolina head-to-head. Whatever else has gone wrong in the last month or 6 weeks is erased so long as they hold on and win the NFC South. They do, 27-19. Gino Fuentes, how say you?
I think I'm going to agree with you, man. That offense got all its pieces back now. They got Bucky Irving going. We saw Mike Evans and how well he played in his first game back. And I think Tampa Bay's coach just ripped them a new one after the last game. So I've got to say they react to that. Baker's not going to sit around and take that. So I think he's going to lead them to a victory. So I'm taking Tampa.
All right. At number 2, a big game on both sides of the ledger, AFC and NFC. The Pittsburgh Steelers at the Detroit Lions. The Lions, of course, lost Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn and desperately need this one. And I have a hunch the Steelers, no matter what goes on the rest of the way here, are entering a new, similar era themselves. Why else would Adam Schefter tweet out, the Pittsburgh Steelers are not going to fire Mike Tomlin, but they do have a significant decision to make early next year based on the option year in his contract, sources tell ESPN. Here are the options. Here are the possibilities of those sources. The worldwide leader's transcriber-in-chief, last seen running cover for his pal Sharon Moore, suddenly found God and is now poring over the fine print in the contracts. I don't think anybody thinks that. Or, like I say, someone told him that. And who would do that other than someone in the Steelers organization, or maybe the agent of a coach who wants the gig if Mike Tomlin does go? Add this to the intrigue. I highly doubt Ryan Clark, who is tied in close with a number of people in the Steelers organization, would say, I believe this marriage between the Steelers and Tomlin is in the stage where they're both discussing if it's the best thing for them as a couple. I don't think he would say that sitting on the field in Acrisure on Monday night if he didn't have conversations that indicated that was the case. Either way, the Lions laying 51.5 is your total. I think Detroit gets it in a game that they just pretty much got to have to stay alive. 33-24. Mike Fuentes, how say you?
The Lions started the year 4-1. Ever since then, they've traded wins and losses all the way down. The last game, they lost to the Rams in a high-scoring affair in Los Angeles. Now they're going to be at home in perfect conditions against a Steelers team that we both know is mediocre at best. So I'm going to take the Lions in this one, but they don't cover because the Steelers find a way to muck games up.
I do want to say, I want to put this asterisk down and not sound like, I'm fully glass half full quite yet. The Steelers have to win this one to impress Dave. So extra pressure on you, Coach T and Aaron Rodgers and everybody else. If the Steelers can go up there in a game, like I say, that the Lions are going to be desperate to get, if the Steelers somehow win that game, now I'm a believer that they can do some stuff in January. But as it stands, we saw what happened last December. I know that they survived the Ravens. Some fluke to that one. The Tua game, I think you throw out. You knew that they were going to flop when it was 10 degrees. Tua wasn't going to make it there. That brings me to number 1. The Patriots and the Ravens. The AFC North remains in play. The Ravens are laying 3. 48.5 is your total. I say that the Patriots, even after the gut punch a week ago, go up there and win 29-27. Why? My primary reason? I just don't think the Ravens are all that good. I don't think they have a pass rush. They don't have a great secondary. And something is off with Lamar. He, I think, is physically not right. That's my pick. Gino, how say you?
I think you're right, man. I think the Patriots have been really good this year. I think it took some Josh Allen magic for them to actually lose that last game. Now, if that score is what you're saying it is, then it's a cover, right? For Baltimore, or what's the line again? Maybe I didn't hear you right the first time.
The Ravens are laying 3.
So you said 29-27. So you'd pick
I'm
the
just
Ravens
saying
then.
Patriots straight up winner, man.
Straight up winner. I'm going to say Patriots straight up winner too, but I think it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be Baltimore covers.
All right, listen. Enjoy it. Gino, Mike Fuentes, Soup up there in Seattle. Enjoy the college football playoff. Enjoy Week 16. We'll be back, like I say, on the other side with some more noise from Chris Long. Until then, thanks so much, my fellow football Americans. It's been a thin slice of heaven.